Going on, golf addicts? It's the Tour Junkies podcast. I'm your host, DB. I got Pat Perry with me, and we have a very special guest, a unique guest, if you will, on the Tour Junkies podcast, Mr. Danny Woodhead. Welcome to the Tour Junkies podcast, buddy.
Hey, thanks for having me, fellas.
You look fantastic.
Well, I try. I have the
you dressed up for us.
Yeah, I usually dress up for these. That's what I make sure. I got an old school hoodie that's kind of ripped.
Very Belichickian of you.
Yes, it is. Yeah. It's very Belichickian, but that's. I learned from the best of looking like a jabroni, right?
I got to be honest. When you came on, I thought for a minute you were the guy on my sweater that I'm wearing right now. Because
I look somewhat like I don't have the chin music and soul patch, but I got the unbelievably good-looking fake mustache.
Yeah, you really do look like Post Malone on my sweater right now.
Yeah, for sure, I do.
Rocking the Chadron State too, which shout out.
You have to remember where you came from, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a good way to do it. Is I don't have a ton of stuff, but this one might actually be from when I was in college. This one's old.
That's good.
Forever old.
Smells good. Smells like a
for sure
diploma. And
right.
Did David even say that right? Chadron State? Is that how you say it?
No, it's Chadron. Everyone calls it Chadron, so I just don't even really like.
Pat, you were the last person to comment on.
I know that's why I did.
Everyone but the people that went to Chadron, they think it's Chadron. So I just anymore. I mean, Chadron is actually like better than what most people used to like. It was so terrible. It's like just kind of read it. Chadron, if you read it, that's what it looks like. That's kind of what I did.
I went with that.
That's what it looks like. But
yeah.
I mean, some people, I guess they've never taken Hooked on Phonics, and it was like Chardron, and it's like there's no R.
Put an R in there, sir.
There's no R before the D.
Yeah. So before we get into this, we always we call it our podcast juice. We like to do these in the evening so we can have an adult beverage. What is your podcast juice for the evening?
I got some Screwball. Familiar with Screwball? It's peanut butter whiskey.
Peanut butter whiskey, yes.
I love peanut butter.
Me too. Huge
so
peanut butter guy.
I am a bourbon fan. Mm-hmm. So I like some good bourbons, but I'll also I like red wine too. But
that's Pat's alley.
Yeah, are you a red wine guy too?
I'm all wine.
Pat is our sommelier. He's
love it.
He writes an article every week called the Fantasy Golf Sommelier, where he rates golfers on the wine scale. It's very nice, and he always ties in wine to the area or some sort of.
Is that what you have going down then? Is wine?
Probably
or not right now.
You don't have wine, do you?
No, actually, I got a beer tonight.
You got a beer?
It's nothing fancy. I was feeling some Red Stripe, so I got a little Red Stripe.
I don't think I've had Red Stripe since I was in Jamaica.
You hate yourself more than I thought you did.
I don't know. I was just at the. I was just like, I'm feeling some Red Stripe.
Are you serious? I don't even.
Yeah, it popped right up.
Red Stripe. I keep saying it in my head.
I think it's been like 10 years. 10 years or more for me since I've had a Red Stripe. I'm not hating. Like I just haven't.
Oh, look, I'm used to it. I always get hated on for what I like to drink.
Hey, what do you have? What's your juice?
I have Jack and Ginger in here.
Oh, okay.
Jack and Ginger. Hold on a second. Are you drinking apple juice? And then when he asked you the question, you just felt like you needed to say it, and that was the first thing that came to your mind? Oh my God. That's the worst.
Look.
Oh God. Danny,
this is the second one. This is the second one. It's already been opened.
We've done the show 6 years. I have never in 6 years. We've done over 300 episodes. I've never seen, even not on the show, I've never seen him drink a Red Stripe or talk about a Red Stripe. Never seen it.
Let's be honest though. Like I kind of respect it because I didn't even know they made that still. I was it's maybe kind of
a terrible beer.
I mean, maybe
it's because I basically. I live in like a gated retirement community. So like, I think they have this little grocery store outside the community. Like maybe they only carry it for us because all the old people like it. I don't know.
Maybe. I respect it. I love it. I mean, I don't want to have any, but I respect it. Now, I'm also the guy that would say, "Hey, give me a Busch latte."
I'd much rather have that.
If I'm just gonna have like a beer that I'm just like not not special, but it's still special out of the non-specials, it's a Busch latte.
So would you get Busch over the Natty Light?
No.
Oh yeah, I think I would.
He's a Midwesterner guy.
Well, now I'll have Natter Day.
Yeah.
Are you into the Natter Days?
Yeah, those are good.
Those are good.
Natty Light.
Natty Light on stock at my course though. That's the go-to on Saturday.
I don't hate Natty Light though. Now, if you say Bud Light, I'll say get away from me. I don't want anything to do with that. I don't want anything to do with it. Even though Busch Light, I think, is like the scrapes of Bud Light. Just give me the scrapes, the scraps, whatever you want to call it.
God, I cannot believe you said Red Stripe. Jeez, that has thrown me off the whole thing. Okay, let's get back on track.
I might have blacked out for a second. Like I was like, "What?"
Swear. It took me a second because I kept going.
I may have also when I picked the Red Stripe. I don't know. Maybe I don't. It's not bad.
It's kind of cool-ish.
Wow,
that
would be like the equivalent of you like coming on the Zoom call one night and having an earring, and I'd just be like,
"Would love that too."
What is that in his? And you'd be like, "Oh yeah,
and it's a hoop. It's like it's a Michael Jordan hoop. And you're like, oh, that, I'm not sure.
On the left. Yeah, I went to. I was walking through the mall. We walked by Claire's. I felt kind of crazy. I got one. Yeah, that's the same feeling I got when I said.
I'd respect that though.
I mean, who would have thought we would have talked the first 5 minutes on this show about Red Stripe?
Dude,
we've given.
I don't think anyone.
No one. Yeah, literally no one.
No one.
The only person we did not surprise here is the Lord because he knows all things. But other than that, we didn't surprise anyone.
No one.
That could be a bet though, Pat, is that if we did like a really long, maybe a season-long bet or something with a lot of pizzazz to it, one of us has to get our ear pierced.
I would love that.
That could be a thing.
That would be so good.
Okay. All right. Jeez, this is really off the rails. Danny.
Yes.
I got to tell you this, man. You're looking at two diehard football fans, love the NFL, love fantasy football.
Okay.
Yeah. Obviously, we have a fantasy golf and golf betting podcast, so it'd probably be pretty safe to assume that we're big fantasy football fans as well. Pat's been running his league for over a decade now. They did their 10-year trip in Vegas a few years back.
Oh, awesome.
And had the whole hangover experience. They rented the hangover suite actually, right? At Caesars.
We did. Yeah, we did.
I love that.
I've commissioned my league for over 10 years. Like, we're huge. And so, I guess I don't even remember, I guess it was a couple months ago, being able to, for you to DM us back. We're going to go ahead and bow to you right now. For you to DM us back.
It was a big deal.
I got to be honest, when you were like, yeah, just text me. I looked at my wife and I was like, babe.
You didn't think that was going to happen. That wasn't
talked
probably.
To a lot of cool people. Like this thing's led us to talk to a lot of cool people, and we're excited. But we've been able to text up a lot of cool mainly golf people in the golf world.
Right.
But I was sitting on the couch. I was like, babe, Danny Woodhead wants us to text him. She's like, she said, I remember that name. Like who is?
Oh, really?
Yeah, she did. She remembered, and she's not she doesn't watch a game. She knows nothing. But 11 so years of me playing fantasy football. She's like, I remember that name. Who is he? And I told her about you, and she's like, I remember him. And I was like, yeah, he gave us his cell phone number. I'm like, if you'd have told me 6 years ago, I would be texting with Danny Woodhead, who I drafted on as many teams as possible.
I love that.
Always willing to trade for you. If somebody dropped you, I would be the first one to put a waiver claim in. Man, loved watching you play football. It is honestly, I know Pat feels the same way. It's a thrill for us to talk to you, and even more so that you're a big golf nut just like us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I mean the texting thing. It's like, hopefully it shows I'm a pretty normal guy, right? Like
100%.
Yeah, just text me.
Yeah.
Who cares? It's easier.
Yeah.
If we just rely on Twitter, rely on Instagram, whatever, I'm gonna forget. I'm gonna do something stupid. So
we'll just put Danny's. We'll put Danny's number in the lower.
Yeah. It would be great. I would love to just get a bunch of flooding of texting, and then I was like, oh, like I'm relevant to your listeners. But Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But as far as golf nut, man, if obsessive, I don't like.
Yeah,
I think about it every day, night. I don't know if you guys have those problems where you're like up, like thinking about your swing. I think I have problems, like, and it's not one of those things like, oh yeah, he really likes golf. Like my wife would probably say, if she was down here, she'd say, my husband really has issues.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at.
Do you think about golf or boobs more?
Golf.
Okay.
Bro.
Are you an ass man? Should I give you?
I would probably. I'd probably. Golf's still pretty up there, you know.
Hey, I can't hate on you for that.
It's one of those things, and I think so with football. Anyone that watched me, hopefully they could see that I was very passionate and I love to play. Like that's just something I hope people would have seen. And I've put every ounce of that energy, that football, into golf. It's been, I mean, I remember when I retired, like the first thing I did was I looked up Nebraska Golf Association amateur tournaments. So I was like, all right, this is my next thing. And yeah, it sounds ridiculous because it's not I mean, you go from NFL to Nebraska Golf Association, right? But like that's my passion and I love it. It's something that, I mean, I have plenty of other things. I have kids, I have my wife, and I have a podcast, a consulting company that I'm a partner in. But like this, outside of like my kids and stuff, like I treat it like it's my job, and it's definitely not because I pay for it, right? But I love it.
Yeah.
So where does the passion come from for you in golf? I mean, was it an early age? Was it later when you, like during your NFL career? Like when did that kind of start for you, and just, you know, go from there?
So when I was about 8, I think I started playing some at a local course in North Platte, Nebraska. Lake Maloney Golf Course is what it was called. And I would play a decent amount until I got to high school. And then once it was high school, it was all just my high school sports and football and basketball mainly. So like in the summers, I had tournaments and I had camps and whatnot. So that was kind of my focus. And then I would say, I mean, maybe I'd play a couple times a year. But then I would say once I senior in college or whatever, my wife, who I had dated in high school, was in Omaha because she was in nursing school. So I was like, all right, well, I'm not going to hang out with my girlfriend, so I'll just golf whenever I get done with working out and whatnot. So I played a little bit then, but then I went to college that was senior year of college. And then once I got in the league, I started playing a little bit more. And I had always been, you know, relatively good-ish. I mean, I could shoot 70s, but I didn't really get crazy about it until I retired. Like I tried to be good probably the last 3 years of my career. But I knew going on when I was retired, I was going to put I always said, I remember like 2-3 years, even when 2-3 years left, like my 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, whatever years, I remember talking to people like, yeah, when I retire, I'm just going to see how good I can get at golf. And I always stuck by that and said, let's just see how good I can get. So now I'm going on year 3, just trying to get better.
So tell us about your game, though. I mean, so I should say this. I mean, normally we have a more formal intro here, but obviously a lot of people, you know, I feel like right? Are going to know who you are.
And if they don't, that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Outside of the NFL stuff, though, you do have the growing in popularity here, Out of Nowhere podcast with your buddy Matt, who also played in the league. You guys do a lot of NFL stuff, and you do sports stuff in general. A lot of great interviews on that podcast as well. I'm sure that is on basically every podcast platform out there.
Yeah, it's on all the platforms.
But recently, you know, you just qualified for the USAM 4-ball.
Yeah.
At Chambers Bay with your buddy that I think plays at the same club as you do in Omaha, right?
Yeah. Yep. So
talk about your game. Tell us about
my game. Has been it's been such a like the last 3 years, I completely overhauled my swing because I went out there and just tried to athlete the ball around. And that's like, I couldn't, I kind of hit a ceiling.
That's what I'm going to start. Hey, I'm going to write that down.
Just athlete the ball around.
Yeah,
bro,
I've just
that's going to be big for you.
I can't say that. So.
But
I'm not going to write it down.
I was good enough to go around and shoot, I don't know, 73 to 78. But like I just had a ceiling. I wasn't going to go low ever. Just because I was like, I had always had good hand-eye, soft hands. So around the green, I could figure things out, which for a lot of AM golfers, like if you can get up and down for par, you can find a way to get in the 70s.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it was. And my coach, who's one of my closest friends out of San Diego, Rick Johnson, works at Del Mar Country Club now. But he said, hey, like, I've been studying this thing. And this was like when Gankis, I don't know if he had really kind of broken through. He was starting to.
How long ago was this?
This would have been 3 years ago is when I started. But like,
I don't think anybody knew who Gankis. I mean, Gankis was.
Yeah, exactly. Like he was like, it was just kind of quiet. Yeah. And he was starting to study it all. And he had been the standard golf swing for however long. And he's like, he studied it for like 3 years. And he's like, bro, I really think you need to try it. He goes, you're an athlete enough that you can do it. And I was like, okay, whatever. I finally agreed to it. I was like, at first I was like, Rick, that's stupid. I don't want to waste my time doing it. Well, it's been a process, and now I'm going into year 3, and now I'm still learning. But I mean, I gained probably 60 yards off the tee. With my irons, I was probably 20 yards longer. So, I mean, that gives you an advantage, and I was able to compress it much better. But that first year was such a transition. Like, it was hard to even change the swing. And I was probably around 4 or 5, and I said, I want to get close to a scratch. So that first year I got down to close to a scratch. I think it was like a 0.4. And I was like, okay. So I have these goals every year. And then I was like, all right, I want to get in the pluses the next year. So year 2, I get, I don't know, probably +1.5, +1.4, 1.5. And I kind of take everything as a challenge. Anytime someone, talks about it, they're like, oh, you made it in the pluses? Yeah. I'm sorry. Like, you're going to see. It's hard to keep going. And I'm like, okay. Like, so you're saying I can't do this? And that really kind of annoyed me.
Yeah.
And people even said that when I got to scratch. They're like, oh, yeah, but you got to scratch. But to maintain a plus.
Staying there is the hardest part, man.
Yeah, staying there is the hardest part. And it's like, okay, like that's really annoying to me. That like you're basically saying that I can't do it. So my goal was I want to get better. I want to get at least, I want to keep pushing the envelope. This year I get to a +3.7. And now, does that mean that's not who I am as a golfer? I'm probably like a +2.5, but you catch a heater for a month and you can get that, handicap, which for guys like us, that's important to us because that's how we gauge it, is I'm getting better.
Well, I prefer to sandbag, but that's just me.
Fair.
Yeah.
But so like it's been a goal every year. And then it was kind of getting to the point where like I can shoot some numbers. So like hopefully I can start competing in tournaments, in some of the AM tournaments. I haven't won any. I got a T7 at an AM tournament, which I was proud of because it's like before I probably wouldn't have got a T55. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then me and my 4-ball partner end up making qualifying for the US 4-ball coming up in May. And like that's the type of things that I'm shooting for. I want to do well in these tournaments because I care a lot. And some people, I'm sure they're probably like, why is Woodhead playing in these? And it's like, I'll tell you why, because I want to qualify. I want to compete. Yeah. And not that justifies it, but it is a goal accomplished to qualify for, a national championship or whatever.
Have you played Chambers Bay before?
I have not. I've watched it on TV, but outside of that, I haven't. I've heard it's really cool. I mean, I know when they played the Open, it was like everyone hated the greens and complained about it, but
yeah,
it's still going to be something cool because an Open has been played there, AM's played there, like, and it's a U.S. tournament, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I played it a couple of years ago. Very different golf course than what I'm used to here in the Southeast.
I bet.
But it is probably one of my favorite golf courses I've ever played in my life. Really,
I hit
track.
a lot of different shots, right?
Yeah. How many times? Actually, I played it with all Hickory clubs that day. Played 100%.
Oh, really?
Hickory clubs. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I wouldn't
remember that. That wasn't the plan, but it changed. Like on the range, I decided I was going to do that.
That's like red stripe right there. You just decide you're going to play some Hickory clubs for the day. Like, what the hell,
dude? That is honoring the.
Hey, Dave, you weren't at St. Andrews.
That is honoring.
Now I get it if you're at St. Andrews.
Yeah.
Okay. The guy that I was playing with is an old fart historian guy, and he had a full set of hickories. And I don't know, I kind of liked the vibe. I hit him on the range, and he had already talked to me the whole way there, like selling me on like playing hickory every now and then. Like he wasn't like full on hickory guy, but like just selling me on it a little bit. So I was kind of drinking the Kool-Aid on the way there, and then he gets on the range, and I hit a few, and they feel amazing when you hit them all right. And I was just like, you know what, like this could be kind of fun. So I said, I'm going to play the first hole with the hickories and see what happens. So I played the first hole with hickories, and I was like, man, this is kind of different. And I just kept going. Then I was like, I'll play the front nine with hickories and the back nine with mine. And then by the time I played the front nine, I'm like, why would I change it in the middle of the round? So I just played the whole thing with hickories. It was very cool. Very cool. Don't put hickories in the same category as effing red stripe.
All right. So this thought just popped in my mind though. So now that you've played some competitions, Danny, so would you say you would get more nervous on the first tee of a golf tournament or before a football game or before a big football game?
I mean, that's a tough one, but I would say, at least the first one that I played in, like where it's stroke play, it's not like 4-man scramble, fake golf, Yeah. I would say my heart pounds way more on the golf course. And I think it's because that's not my profession. That's not what I was like.
Yeah.
Like football was so easy for me, right?
Yeah.
Whereas like golf, I've had to work so hard. I worked hard at football, but like,
yeah,
that was my gift. You know what I'm saying? And kind of like, it's just like anyone's job. Like that's what I was kind of born to do. In golf, it's something I love and a passion of mine, but I'm not as gifted in golf as I am in football. So yes, and I think another thing too is you're playing with all these college golfers or former college golfers, even some former pros, and people know who you are too.
Mm-hmm.
So you're like, I don't want to look like an idiot. So like that was the hardest part. Now I don't care, but at the beginning that was tough. And even now, like I get way more nervous on the first tee than football. The only thing that might trump it is a Super Bowl when I played in that.
Yeah, most people get nervous on the first tee if there's people around or another group on there, and those people don't have a clue who you are, and you're still nervous about it, or you care,
oh yeah,
but yeah, I can imagine, in your situation where there may be people who see your name on the
it just makes it a little different.
Yeah, because they're going to go back. If you
they're going to tell
the first
people
tee, they're going to be like, oh, you remember Danny Woodhead, the running back? Yeah, I saw him top one off number one. That's
exactly.
They're not going to say that about some rando David Barnett on the first, because nobody cares.
Wait, you mean the guys in the member guests that we played against in the first 2 rounds of each day, and I topped it off the first tee, are not still talking about that, or what are you talking about?
No, they probably are, because that was the funniest I've ever seen. Pat hit a laser that got about, I don't know, a pubic hair off the ground into our metal tee marker just about 20 yards in front of him. First shot of the day, and our member guest about about a month ago.
I love it.
That almost took out.
Where do you guys play?
Still parred the
He
whole.
did make a par. Yeah.
Where do you play at?
So that was at my member guest. I'm in Augusta,
Okay.
So I'm a member at Champions Retreat.
Okay. I've heard that's awesome.
It's a great spot. Fantastic spot. The only one in the world like it. We got 3 nines designed by Arnie, Jack, and Gary. So
that's sick.
It's a sweet spot. It hosts the Augusta National Women's Am the first year, and will continue to whenever that happens again. So,
is that in Augusta then, Champions Retreat, or is it out ish?
We would say it is. Technically, it's in Evans, just a quick little suburb right outside of Augusta. I mean, it's 15 minutes from Augusta National.
Oh,
maybe.
Yeah,
so
it's not very far.
It's off of Washington Road, basically. So it's the same road. It's just the other side of it.
Oh, I see.
So, and then Pat's a member at the Landings in Savannah, which hosts a Corn Ferry event.
Oh, that's sick.
But Pat grew up here in Augusta. Grew up at Augusta Country Club. Privileged, gated community life.
Sounds like it.
And now look how far he's come drinking Red Stripe on a
I know.
Right.
in public.
It's been a long journey, but here I am.
Life comes at you fast. Jeez. Oh man, I'm the host. I might kick him out. I'm still reeling
that's fair.
over Red Stripe.
I love it.
So what kind of outside of your own game though? What kind of golf nut are we talking? Like, are all your Instagram you follow all the golf channels? Are you watching every tournament? Do you play fantasy golf? Do you get on YouTube instructional golf wormholes? Like what other golf consumption?
So in golf instructional stuff, I used to, but now I'll follow some teachers and stuff, but I try to also, I think I've learned now being in year 3 that if I'm going to follow something, I kind of want it to be somewhat Gankis-ish, because I ran into the problem of I would try to mix and match. And it's like, well, I have I don't know if you're familiar with some of Gankis's stuff, but it's a different sequence with the legs, and it's like a squat and rotate. It's just a different deal. Yeah. So if you're trying to emulate, I'm trying to think of
if you're watching Mike Bender videos.
Yes. That's exactly who I was thinking. I was like, what's his name? But if you're watching Mike Bender, it's different. Yeah. And what he teaches is perfect for what he teaches. But for what I do, the matchup wouldn't work.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So if I'm on Instagram or Twitter, I follow a lot of golf stuff. That's just, what do you use social media for the things that you just enjoy, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So I follow a bunch of golf stuff. I actually like following smaller companies. I love following the smaller golf club companies, or sub 70. It's a direct to consumer. I love following them. There's some different putter, almost like boutique putters. I love following stuff like that, because I like to support some of those smaller companies that they're doing their thing and make really, really good products, but they don't have the marketing money to just, flush down the toilet type deal. But yeah, so I follow it all. I watch almost every tournament.
You do?
Yeah. I mean, I
have
really
you dabbled in any fantasy golf or golf betting?
I have not, and I've heard it's awesome. I just haven't gotten into it.
It's the best sweat.
I need to look into it.
It is. We tell people this.
Is it way better than fantasy football or not?
It is 100 times better than fantasy football.
Let
me tell you why.
Why is that?
I guess the biggest reason.
So am I going to get in fantasy golf with you guys after this?
Come on, man. We'll invite you to our little league.
I might have to.
Listen, here's the deal with NFL, with fantasy NFL stuff. It's really one day, right? There's Monday, there's Thursday, but it's really one day, and that's what you get. With golf, it is potentially a 4-day sweat, so you get way more bang for your buck. It's a 4-day sweat. The ebbs and flows of golf, as you know, watching a golf tournament are ever changing.
Yeah.
And you almost get 2 really big sweats in one if you play a daily fantasy golf, which like DraftKings, FanDuel, stuff like that.
Yep.
Because what's really key is getting as many players as you can through the cut.
Yep.
So Friday, so basically you start on Thursday, but Friday afternoon, the cut, everybody calls it the cut sweat. That's what's going to make or break, because so on Friday afternoon, like, you are pulling, you are pleading, you are praying, you are cussing, you are whatever it is you need to do to will your boys to the cut line. And it never fails. There's always a handful that are close, right?
Yeah.
So you get through Friday and you're like, all right, so I got these guys through and I got these guys that are out. F those boys. Let's move on. Let's keep it moving. Saturday, Sunday comes. So then Saturday's kind of, okay, moving day. But then Sunday is you get it all over again, because then it's all going to happen, right? So for fantasy golf, you get that 4-day sweat, and you get just all this bang for your buck. And then obviously with more betting stuff, there's just a lot of variety to it, man. And as you know, we talk about this all the time, golf is so variable, right?
Yeah.
Like, you played on a 100-yard field every single week.
Right.
It didn't matter where it was. You played on 100. My analogy was always, before Antonio Brown went ballistic, he was good for 5 catches and 80 yards every single game. There was no ifs, ands, buts about it. But the best in the world can suck, in a golf tournament. And Robert Streb can win a golf tournament, or whoever. Brian Gay missed 13 cuts and then he won a golf tournament. So, the variety of it's pretty sweet. You need to get into it. We'll keep selling you, though. We'll sell you offline on this.
Yeah, I'll start dabbling.
So you haven't dabbled in that yet? Okay.
No, I haven't.
Who's your favorite follow? Like, name a couple of your favorite follows on Instagram. You're on Instagram and Twitter, both pretty good, aren't you?
Yeah. I probably major in Twitter a little bit more, just because I feel like it's a little easier to just let your personality out, because you can make a comment and all your followers see it. Whereas on Instagram, it's like, well, you have to do a picture and you have to do this, and which I still like Instagram, but Twitter's just a lot easier. So I definitely I major in that a little bit more. I really enjoy Homa. He's one of my favorites. Yeah. One of my favorites easily. And
you interviewed him. I saw that. I think out of nowhere.
Awesome. Him. Yeah. Awesome dude.
Fantastic interview.
Yeah. So I love him. It's a shame that the Tiger tracker's going away. I didn't really know that was happening, which, as long as you have the NBC Sports Gold or whatever, you knew Tiger was he was going to be a featured group. Sure. But if for some reason you weren't around, it was nice to have following him. Mm-hmm. He's hit and miss. I like Phil, some of his stuff that he has on Twitter. But those are just a few. I obviously follow Tiger, but I guarantee he's not even tweeting. It's just, since we're best friends, I should follow him.
You have to. Yeah.
Right.
I got to ask you.
Told him you'd give him a follow. So.
Yeah, I told him. He said, "Hey," he always calls me Wood, so I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, yeah, ET, ET, Eldrick Tiger is usually what I call him.
Yes.
But
Eldrick Taunt.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just followed him because he asked me,
I'm not sure when we're going to release this podcast, but at the time, there's a viral photo going around right now of Greg Norman's hog. Have you seen that? Do you have any commentary on that? You've seen a lot of hog in your day in the NFL locker room. I'm not sure how impressed you might have been with that guy.
It almost felt like
for us mortals.
Was that a real picture?
Yeah.
So when I saw it, it's like, is this bad to admit? Like I zoomed in even because I'm like, is that wait what?
Pinch?
And you're you're zooming in and you're like, that's not his. And then you're like, that's definitely not Photoshop. I've never seen anything like that in my life. I guess as Slauson, my boy, my podcast boy, my podcast boy, my co-host, he said the other day we did a pod, and he goes, "Man, Dustin Johnson's just living the life." He goes,
"Yeah,
he's just got a new, fresh green jacket and just a massive hog." So like, I actually,
hogs, man. The t-shirts are on sale, right?
Yes, green jackets and hogs, which is sad because Greg would just be hogs because he never won a green jacket. I mean, he had a couple. He faltered, faltered a couple times, but like, Greg is blessed.
He's 70 years old, man.
Blessed. Hashtag blessed. I've never seen anything like that. I'm actually one. Did he have an animal in his shorts?
I don't
know what kind of animal.
It is for removing a piece of driftwood out of the Hobie Sound.
It was amazing.
Smuggling that out of there.
It was. How many times have you guys been on here and be like, "It's amazing," and we're talking about Greg Norman, his hog.
Yeah. Hey, look, it's like you in football. He has a gift, I guess.
Yes.
And he can't. You can't. I can't strive for that. How could I? It's just like you're like working on your golf game, striving to be a plus handicap. I can't strive to have a hog and look like that when I'm 70.
No,
and you got to let your light shine. You don't want to you don't want to put it under a under the hood. You got to let it roll. Let it roll.
You do, and you just gotta showcase what you got, I guess.
I literally woke up in the middle of the night.
You'll never see a picture like that of
me. Yes.
Not because and it's definitely because I just don't have that. I'm just gonna let the world know what that.
You heard it here first.
I've never seen that.
The rumors are confirmed.
The rumors that wasn't me are true.
I bet Greg Norman drinks Red Stripe.
No, it's zero.
He drinks gasoline.
Yeah, he drinks like lion piss.
Oh, and lion. Yeah, I agree.
I literally, this is not a joke. I'm not kidding. You know how you wake up in the middle of the night. How old are you, Danny?
35.
Okay, so you're there. I'm 30.
Yep.
I'm about to be 37 in a month.
I'll be 36 in January. So
there you go. You get to that
almost
point where
twins.
you wake up in the middle of the night, right? All the time, and immediately thought in your brain. Last night, so that whole thing went down yesterday. We tweeted about it. Our tweet went like semi-viral, like a bunch of people.
As it should.
Yeah. And I literally shot up in the middle of the night last night, and my first thought, and I did not think about it the whole day yesterday with the whole tweet going around, but this is true. I'm not lying. My first thought was, Greg Norman hit on my mom on number 4 at the Masters in the late 90s. And he did. I'm not kidding.
Really?
We were at the Masters. This was in probably, I don't know. I might've been, actually, this is like midnight. This is probably like 95, 96, somewhere around there. I was at the Masters. I was walking around with my mom. We were on number 4 tee, par 3. Number 4 tee, right on the ropes. And my mom is and was then a very attractive lady. Always took great care of herself. You know, lovely woman. We're standing there on the tee, and Greg walks up to the tee, and he's like getting ready, and he like has his tee in the ground. He's like behind the ball, like eyeballing his shot, visualizing or whatever.
Yep.
It's a practice round. I'm on the ropes. My mom is standing right behind me. She's taller than me. I was like 12 or 13, right? And she whispers in my ear, she goes, "That is a handsome man." And Greg hears her and turns around and looks at my mom and goes, "You're not so bad yourself." And then hits his golf shot. If I'm lying, I'm dying. I swear to you that happened.
That's crazy. Is that the year that Faldo came back?
It probably
it was right around there, 95, 96.
So literally,
96.
I did not think about that at all yesterday, but I woke up in the middle of the night and was like, Greg Norman hit on my mom.
Oh my gosh. And I'm sure he's blessed then. Like, hopefully, like when he turned around, he didn't hit you because you were in front of your mom.
Yeah, I know, right? Oh,
like he did. Whoa!
Hit in the dick,
man,
dick. How crazy would that be?
Or I was even thinking your knee, but it could be both ways.
Or that.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Well, I was
crap! I got a bruised knee.
I was short. I was younger.
Yeah, so like would have hit you like I don't know in the chest.
Greg Norman gave me a mushroom. No, okay, let's get it going.
Yeah.
Talk about. I mean, like I don't know. I don't want to keep talking. I want to ask you about. I kind of want to ask you about just NFL locker rooms now. For some reason, it makes me think about that. You know,
showers. NFL showers.
Yeah, I didn't play football. Pat didn't play football either. I played baseball. Pat played tennis. You know, the only thing I can, if I think about an NFL locker room, my mind immediately goes to the scene in Any Given Sunday. You know that movie? Have you seen the movie?
Yeah, but what
Al Pacino?
Yeah, I've seen the movie.
It's just the scene where the guy walks out and it's Greg Norman cock.
Yes,
just hitting his knee. That's all I think about.
Did I see any of that? Is what you're asking?
Well, I'm sure you did.
Yes.
Like, how
10
much
years. I mean,
you know, like how much of that? Was it all the time? Is there a guy that's like, you don't have to say any names, but like,
no, I definitely won't say any names. But when you're my size, you know, 5'8", 200 pounds,
yeah,
and then you have all these other people that aren't 5'8", 200.
Yeah. Like DK Metcalf.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah. It would be jerseys and hogs, you know, instead of green jackets and hogs. There's some people that are blessed, but there's also some people that aren't as blessed, and makes you feel a little bit.
Yeah.
You can walk around in your own skin a little bit more. You know, you're like, you feel comfortable in your own skin. You're like, okay,
daddy.
Yeah. And sometimes you have to call yourself daddy, and you're comfortable walking with your towel on around your shoulders, you know, because you're not, there's some people that make you feel a little bit better about yourself, and not because you're blessed, because they're just not.
Right.
They just really aren't. But yeah, you see some Greg Normans for sure.
Yeah.
Plenty. And it's just like, it makes you realize, you look at him, you're like, that's not a human being. You know, it's like, that's just not a real person. So you just have to look past that, because that's not real. Yeah. That's like a creative player.
I wonder if Madden will let you do that one year.
Yeah, you go.
What's your hog rating? 97. Yeah. My hog rating.
Slow as Christmas, but man.
But man, his hog rating.
But you would be too if you had a hog rating of 97.
Oh, I agree. But you know, that's why I didn't. My hog rating, I don't know, 43. You know, something like that. It would have been like a kicker's throwing power, you know.
That's going in the little preview you got to type up in the podcast.
I love that.
Tease people is like Danny gives his Madden hog rating.
So outside of hog ratings and hogs in general,
right?
Give me.
I don't like to veer too far off of the hog rating and just hogs.
I want to transition from the hog ratings and the hogs to. Like, give me some funny, your funniest NFL stories, your wildest NFL stories, whether it was a locker room, on the field, like some of the things that pop in your mind that just were funny, not necessarily a winning moment or anything, but just some funny shit that happened.
Yeah,
or just wild.
Yeah. I would say, I don't know about tons of fun. I mean, there was some funny stuff that happened. I mean, I always like to do pranks and stuff like that. I'd like to randomly jump in the cold tub naked because I thought that was funny, and it was funny. I mean, like, if you don't laugh at that, you don't have a sense of humor. But like, there are a lot of stuff that I look back on that it was even kind of just, I mean, it was football and in the heat of the moment that kind of makes me laugh now. Like, I remember my first year in San Diego, and we're playing the Broncos, and I get a screen pass and get, like, I don't know, 5 yards. Well, Phillip, I mean, who is one of my closest friends in the league, and he starts yelling at me. And I'm like looking back, like, first of all, Phil runs a 5'2" 40, right?
Yeah.
And he's telling me where to go, and he's super intense just because he's really competitive.
Yeah.
And he says, "You should have went over there." And I like was taken back, so I looked down and I started yelling back at him. Well, the thing that's funny that, I mean, some people might think it's funny, some people might not, but like, little did people know that fight carried over into the huddle, and our center had to separate us, and we had to call a timeout because we were fighting on the field. And it's just kind of funny to look back at moments like that were just like, yeah, that was kind of crazy. Like, first of all, why am I trying to fight our star quarterback? And I also thought, like, why the heck was he trying to fight me? And then we had a big, huge lineman have to get in between us. And we were like, it's like he had to separate us because we were like trying to step over him, yelling at him, almost spitting each other's mouth. And, you know, he's still a close friend of mine, but it's just stuff like that's funny, even though it's in the heat of the moment, heat of the game. And
you look back at it and laugh.
Yeah, I think of stuff like that as hilarious. Like outside of my normal standard, you know, naked prank in the cold tub.
Were you like the prankster on your teams, or is there?
I mean,
are there other people that come to mind?
You'd have to ask. Our center Nick Hardwick was definitely a prankster there too. Definitely a prankster. I'm trying to think in New England. It was almost like too serious to really have a prankster in New England. It really was. But yeah, I would have been known, I think, as kind of more than anything. I don't know if it was so much pranks. I just like to have fun. And if I could make people uncomfortable, I was going to do it. Like, did I really want to go get naked in front of a bunch of other dudes in the cold tub? No, I just thought it would make people uncomfortable and make them laugh. And I succeeded in that. Or like something that was really funny to do. Now we're getting on naked talk, but I would, yeah, exactly. Yeah. But we'd be in the hot tub, and guys would just be in the hot tub, and it's standard that guys would just whatever they maybe worked out, and they just might have shorts and a t-shirt on. Well, I always wore a hoodie, a cutoff hoodie, and sometimes sweatpants even. And I'd be in the hot tub, and if there's a bunch of guys in there, it was always fun. Not fun, but hilarious to randomly take your pants off while you're in the hot tub, and then just randomly your pants float up at the top. And they would be like right in front of someone, and everyone always knew. They'd see it, and they'd look at me, and they'd look at me, and they go, "Woodhead, what are you doing?" I was like, "Oh, my bad, man. I was just getting a little hot. I was just getting a little warm, so I had to take my pants off." But like that, you know, it's funny. Like people will even say, like, "What do you remember? What games?" I don't remember. I mean, I remember the games, but like I don't really care. I competed as hard as I could and had a lot of fun, but like it's that stupid stuff like that, acting like an 8-year-old. You know, like that's the stuff that I'll remember, because that's, to me, that's funny. And me almost being 36 years old, if someone were to do that, I would laugh hysterically. Like that's funny to me.
What was there ever a moment where like because I mean I remember very clearly vividly watching you play, and like if anybody's watched Danny Woodhead play, you know you are a fiery competitor out there, right?
Yeah.
And but I did it ever get like, did you ever like get into it with a guy on another team in terms of like verbally, where you guys just kept meeting each other, you know, contact, whatever, and you found yourself like getting into it similarly to what you just described with Phillip Rivers, but this time it's some massive human on the other side that really would like to beat your face in, and you have a kind of an awakening moment where you're like, what am I doing here?
I'm not going to name any names, but like I would never talk unless someone talked to me. Like that was just my thing. I'm not going to go out of my way to talk trash. Like, why? If someone starts talking to me though, and trying to say, like, you always get the, oh, some white comment by a guy. Mm-hmm. Like that's just standard. Like, and they do everything they can to say little white this, little white that, just something like that. And they got to know that I'm playing more than that play. You know, like I'm in the game.
Yeah.
And I'm going to see you in routes. So when stuff like that would happen, I would take the opportunity, you know, because I was going to end up beating them on a route, I felt like, which I end up doing. And they'd be saying certain stuff like that. And I'd just be like, how's that feel? And they're like, I'm like, well, you just said a little white guy. Like, how does it feel? Isn't that, I'd always say, isn't it super embarrassing to get beat by me? And it, like, that was the only thing that I would ever say, because if you're going to say that, if you're going to try to talk to me about how I'm a white guy that slow, whatever, which I didn't feel like I was slow, but I'm not going to talk trash. But if you're going to say that, I'm going to be like, isn't that kind of embarrassing? And then when you say that, they never say anything again, because then they're like really embarrassed.
Yeah.
So that's the only time I'd really talk, because that's the only thing that kind of got, I don't want to say got under my skin, but kind of annoyed me.
What's the hardest? Who hit you the hardest? You like hardest hit of your career?
Louis Delmas. He was a safety for the Lions, safety for the Dolphins. I don't know where else he played. He was only like 5'11", 195. But safeties were always the worst. Everyone's like, man, how bad did it hurt to get hit by 300-pounders? It's like, not at all. I mean, it's just a big old fat guy kind of rolling around and rolling on top of you. Sometimes, like, if they're just laying on you, it's like, hey, like, you're super heavy, like, get off of me. But those hits never bothered me. The Louis Delmas, I mean, when they're coming full speed downhill and you're going full speed, those sucked. Those were bad.
I can't imagine.
Those were really bad.
Imagine. Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's it like playing with Brady?
You know, the first week it kind of sucked, because I came in week 3 and I think he was trying to test me to be like, is this guy ready? So, like, he was just yelling at me the whole week in practice. And I'm like, who is this guy? Like, I mean, I know who he is, but like, I thought I'd maybe like him. I don't like him. I really don't. But I think after that first week, and I proved that I knew what to do, he was cool with me, and like, he trusted me. So after that, I was like, oh, actually, he's pretty cool. But that first week, I was like, what is his deal? Like,
I'm surprised it was only a week.
Yeah. I mean, I think because I showed that I knew what to do, I think maybe he respected me. I don't know. But it was great. Like, and I think that carrying that over into Phillip, which Phillip is very similar in things that he does, it helped, because I think that helped. I mean, I was at a different time when I was in New England. So, like, I was tight with Phil, but that's because I don't know how many years in the league. When I was in New England, I was just trying to hang on for dear life for my job. Yeah. So, like, I didn't
already
get to
proven yourself by the time you got to San Diego.
Exactly. And I didn't really get to know Tom on a personal level, because, like, it was like I just had my head down. I'm just, like, working as hard as I could. But he's a great teammate, a great leader. Obviously, like, I think people are going to, when I say this, they're like, oh, no, that's not true. But, like, I truly think he's a better quarterback now than when I played with him. And it's not like saying he sucked. It's just like he continues to get better. And people are like, well, yeah, but he's older. And it's like, yeah, he can't get slower. You know, like he just can't get slower.
Yeah.
But his arm is as good as it's ever been.
Wow.
And that's the thing, is like, I believe if he wanted to, now there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that he has to do, is taking care of his body. But like, his performance I think he could play till, I don't know, 47, 48 if he wanted to, but it's just, do you really want to go through the, all that crap?
Well, is there anything about Brady or Belichick that people would be surprised to know about or not suspect about the two? I mean, everybody has, assumptions about the two. They're because they're so well documented and chronicled week in and week out during the NFL. But is there anything about the two of them that may surprise people?
I would say that Belichick has a sense of humor. It's just he's not going to really show anything to the media because he doesn't like talking to the media anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I think a hassle to him. And then Brady, everyone sees the fiery competitor. And then when he's off the field, like he still cares, but he's like a soft-spoken dude. Like he cares about people. Not that he doesn't look like he cares about people, but sometimes he's chewing people. Like they're like, yeah, I don't know if I'd really like to be around him, but like off the field, he's like a kind guy. Like he cares about people. And that's another thing with Bill too. I believe he cares about people. It's just when he gets in the mode of building a team, he'll fire you if you suck, which I appreciate that actually. Like if you suck, you should get fired. And that's something I appreciate, but he actually is a good dude. Or like, I think he cares about people is kind of what I'm saying. Because sometimes people be like, he doesn't care about anyone. And he truthfully doesn't when it comes to football. Like he's trying to build, he's doing what he can do. Yeah. He's doing his job, and that's
You're
to build the best team. You're an asset
or a liability.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there anything about football that you could act like playing football, or I don't know, just like what aspect? And there is two like totally different sports. One's a team sport, one's an individual sport. But what could like from your days playing football, like how does that help, or like anything from football that translates to golf?
Yeah, I mean, I think anytime you make a mistake, it's hard to. If you drop a ball, if you miss a block and your quarterback gets hit, like just moving on to the next play. I mean, that's difficult, I think, for anyone. But same thing in golf. Like you hit a terrible shot, well, move on and figure it out. I mean, you have to move on, because if you're going to dwell on it, then you're just compounding things. So like when I'm on the course, if I hit a trash drive or a trash second shot and it's like, somehow you leave yourself and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to get up and down from 70 yards. Like, so what I try to do is I try to focus on that shot. And what I try to do is make sure bogey's the worst. Like I try to eliminate something. So I'm eliminating 6. And that's like, with the way I was as a football player, I grinded out on the course. And it could be you're not playing for money, whatever. It could be me playing just with a buddy and we're not even playing a game. I grinded out on the course like I'm playing in a US 4 ball. Because like that's something that I'm trying to carry over. So I try to practice it just like I did in football. And it's like, all right, if I mishit something, all right, the worst I'm going to take is bogey. I might be able to get a par. So like that's kind of so maybe the mental game of it, because football is very mental, even though it's very physical. It's also very mental, and I have tried to carry that over, and I think that's helped, because I have been in a lot of bad situations in football, or tough situations, and I mean it's just I care, but it's just AM golf. So, like, it's not that much worse.
You got to be – I thought about this when you said you're a Genghis guy. For you to be a running back in the NFL, obviously, the lower half of your body has to be pretty damn sharp. And the Genghis swing, as you already alluded to, with the lower body movement, like, me and Pat have talked about this a lot. Like, for me personally – so I only played baseball my whole life. That's all I played until I got into college, and then I hated baseball, and then I went straight to golf. But I have zero awareness of what is happening below, like, my sternum.
Yeah.
I'm a paraplegic in the golf swing below my sternum. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
So, I look at the Genka swing and I'm like, there's no way I could time that. I could execute that. I have zero awareness of all that stuff. So you have to have that for the Genka swing.
You have to. I would say the first part, because I was so used to just my old just jabroni swing, like it took a little bit of time. But I feel like I am very aware of my lower body just because of football and because agility was important. So like just the movement of my hips and the movement of just my lower extremities, like that definitely has helped me. I mean, anyone that's seen it or follows golf understands that the Genka movement is an athletic movement. Like it's definitely very athletic movement. And for me, maybe because of all the sports that I played soccer, I played basketball, and I played football in high school. And all those, I mean, you have to have your lower body, you have to be very in tune with it. So I think it probably has helped with my swing. I mean, I think it's made things make sense. Because it is foreign. I mean, when you've never done it.
Yeah. Man, that's good stuff, dude. Well, I think Pat's at the end of his red stripe. I'm nearing the end of my Jack and Ginger. Danny, this has been it's been a lot of fun, buddy.
Very enjoyable. Very enjoyable.
The Out of Nowhere podcast for the NFL fan out there. Tell them what. But you do a little more than NFL too. You sprinkle some golf in there.
Yeah, check out our podcast. We talk about football, NFL. We always recap the NFL, the highlights, definitely the lowlights. That's the most fun for me to talk about. I enjoy it because people.
You watch a lot of the games.
I watch almost. I mean, I don't watch every game.
Yeah.
But I have the ticket and I watch most games. Just kind of flipping back and forth. So yeah, we don't break down the games, but we both watch football still. We watch a lot of it and we like to talk about it. And then we do talk a lot about golf, and we kind of talk about, I mean, being on your guys' pod I feel kind of comfortable for me because sometimes we just go off and talk about random stuff too. I mean, that's what's fun. That's what makes it enjoyable. But it's Out of Nowhere podcast. We bring usually athletes on, whether it's football, golfers. We have had a few like big time leader people, John Gordon, some other people too. And we just kind of want to hear their stories because at the end of the day, everyone's story's out of nowhere, whether you're Howie Long's son or you're Mark Woodhead's son. But you come from out of nowhere. I came from North Platte, Nebraska. My dad's a teacher and a coach. My mom stayed at home. Slauson came out of nowhere in Oregon, and it's just kind of everyone comes from out of nowhere, and then our conversations can kind of be out of nowhere, and people sometimes I think are puzzled, and if you don't like it, that's okay. We don't freaking care.
Love it. You think
the out of nowhere stuff? Hopefully, you like some of it.
You think you'll ever get Brady or Belichick on the Out of Nowhere podcast?
I think that's going to be hard. I think it's going to be hard.
You think that'll be hard?
I think Bill's difficult to get on any show. I mean, I don't foresee that. But
I haven't seen Phillips been on there yet. You got to get Rivers.
Yeah, he was gonna, and then the whole COVID thing happened.
Yeah.
And we're like, we'll get you some other time. We'll get him in off season. I'm not going to mess with him in season.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to get Rivers on. He just seems like he'd be fun to talk to.
Well, he's the best, and Slauson played with him too. So like, we're all buddies.
That'll be good, man. Yeah, people got to check that out and follow along on Twitter too, especially.
Yeah, if you want a sarcastic follow me.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't, probably don't follow me.
Were you in on the Twitter streets in your playing days, or did you kind of stay off of that?
I had a Twitter, but I didn't. I just didn't say anything because I was always like, I don't want to say I was worried about what the organization would think, but in New England I was. and I think it carried over a little. Now I just don't care. Like, I mean, I'm not out there to offend people, but I'm just saying, like, I'm not like worried about every movement I make. Whereas it's like, I'm my own boss now.
Yeah. That's got to be a good feeling there.
Yeah.
Twitter streets are rough, man.
They are.
It's a rough place.
You're going to get some people, hating you, and that's kind of fun. And then maybe a few people like you.
I mean, even our Greg Norman picture, we had people commenting going like, well, how many major championships have you won? I'm like, what? Does that have to do with anything?
That doesn't have to do with how well endowed he is. That has nothing.
What are you talking about?
We're just talking about size.
Hogs. We're just talking about hogs.
I'm not insecure about my major championships. I'm insecure about my wiener.
Yeah, right. I'm 5'8". His hog's 5'8". You know?
Yeah.
Like, that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about anything like crazy. Gracious of Pete.
Oh man, we'll end on that. That's fantastic. Danny Woodhead, thank you, man. We appreciate you being on the Tour Junkies podcast. This is a lot of fun.